Right, today I'm going to do a little talk about the faith of the centurion because it's so important, really, to understanding that even before Jesus had even paid the atonement for, obviously, people to get into heaven and to be reconciled to the Father, even before he'd done that, he said that he'd found no greater faith even in Israel. That means even in the Israelites, the seed of Jacob, he'd not found a greater faith yet, as he'd found in this Roman citizen, which is pretty massive. You know, if you're talking clues, well, that's a clue just to show you just how wrapped up in the Gentiles God is and how much he wants to get them in. You know, he exiled them a long time ago, you know, due to, obviously, our ancestors' disobedience and rebelliousness in following after other idols and other false gods, which were not gods at all. They certainly did them no favours, did they? They ain't got a Bible, have they? Where's their Bible? Where's all these other false gods' Bible? And where are these great acts that are famous, like Pharaoh's army being completely destroyed in the Red Sea? Because most of you probably know, they put little mini submarines down there with cameras on, and they found all of these chariot wheels, which match perfectly the sort of design the Egyptian chariots had for wheels. Corals growing on them now and all this other stuff. Then they went to Sodom and Gomorrah in 1984 to the official sites, and there you've got pure white brimstone balls that are about so big, and each one of them is pure white brimstone. It's not found on earth. The scientists took it away, they examined it, they tested it. Not government scientists, independent scientists, not bullshit artists that are paid to lie. They went and they showed us everything that they found. They showed us that it wasn't of earthly origin. It's only yellow sulphur that you get on Earth, and it's usually around volcanic areas. So there's so much truth, and the scientists have obviously, you know, they found Jesus' blood, didn't they, on the mercy seat under the exact place where they found the ark was where he was obviously crucified above where it was, and the blood had dripped down onto the mercy seat. The scientists went, they took a sample of the blood, they found that the blood was still alive, and it only had one side, one parent's chromosomes in it, which were the dad's, because everyone knows, and it's common fact, that the child always gets the father's blood. It's not the mother's blood, it's the father's blood that's in there from day one, from the very first day. So there was only this particular blood from a parent, but this blood was still alive, even though it was 2,000 years old, because it was God's blood. Remember, in the case of a will, the will can only be paid out if the one who's made the will dies. No other person can die for the one that's made the will. The will has to only come in effect once that person is legally dead with a death certificate. So when we talk about faith, the faith of the centurion, he knew that Jesus was going to obviously heal his servant, and he had so much faith, he went and told his other servants, you know, I'm not worthy enough for the Lord to come into my house. Even though this man was just a Roman citizen, this Roman citizen, for some reason, had it in his heart to prosper Jerusalem during the Roman Empire's occupation of Jerusalem at the time. He also built one of the synagogues for the Jews. So he were a person who God were using. Yeah, even though this man didn't know all the truth, this man still had the faith in what he'd heard about Jesus. So I'm going to read it. Luke 7, the faith of the centurion. When Jesus had finished saying all this to the people who were listening, he entered Capernaum. There a centurion's servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him, "This man deserves to have you do this, because he loves our nation and has built our synagogues." So Jesus went with him. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does that." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him, and turning to the crowd following him, he said, "I tell you, I have not found such great faith even in Israel." Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. Jesus said, "I tell you, I have not found such great faith even in Israel." Israel's a big nation. It were made up of all kinds of races at that time. There were Africans there. There were people from the north, south, the Syrians. It were made up of a vast amount of people, was the Judaic kingdom. And as you know, they were a powerful, strong people, that often overcame many wars, especially when they had King David over them. They went and took absolutely everything. David went on an absolute ultimate mission for the Lord, and he went and snatched all of the territory, God expanded all his territory. And David, God bless him, he had his own troubles, didn't he? He had his family troubles. He had Absalom that went against him, his son. And then, as you know, he got him into quite a bit of a controversy with his own men, with David's mighty men, his loyal soldiers, because the way that, Absalom did David, it were pretty bad, he even tried to kill his own father. He had no regard for David in that respect. He just wanted the crown, didn't he? Just wanted to take the crown from him without God's permission. So as you know, Absalom got stabbed to death while hanging from a tree by his curly hair. This is why you should always honour your father and your mother, because God sees all things, and he's the one who will stop someone if they go too far. So yeah, the faith of the centurion. Have you got the faith of the centurion? Or would you like to have the faith of the centurion? Because remember, by faith, Abraham was credited to be righteous because he had faith in God. He believed in God. So it was credited to him as righteousness. Abraham met Melchizedek, the high priest of Salem, and this were at a time when Abraham certainly wasn't religious. He didn't really understand who God was. He lived amongst the Ammonites, in the realms of Sodom and Gomorrah, and also there were another few cities attached to that. I know everyone just says Sodom and Gomorrah, but there was about 5 cities altogether that God destroyed and turned into a fiery furnace. Abraham was not a religious man. In fact, he'd seen the hypocrisy of those who were all worshipping the moon at that time. There were a lot of moon worship in Sodom and Gomorrah and those other cities there, Zoar being one of them as well, which, as you know now, is the Dead Sea. There's not much left of it, boiled to just a salty, shallow bath, really. So, acquire the faith of the centurion by putting your trust in God. I know there's not a lot of people out there you can trust in. The politicians are corrupt, the government's corrupt, everyone seems to be corrupt. But God is not corrupt. He is not corrupt. He does everything properly. And everything's got to be dealt with legally, as you know. Everything here is legal. And if you're covered in the blood of Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, and you trust in that blood, you'll be saved. God bless you all.